The world just shifted in a single heartbeat. The Demon King has been struck down. As he fades, the monster is left in absolute shock that he was defeated by a warrior whose name he doesn't even know. The Demon King demands the name of his conqueror, but the answer is a total curveball. This powerhouse introduces himself as Clay Rs, and claims he's nothing more than a villager and a baggage handler for the hero's party. The Demon King can't help but laugh at the irony. To be brought down by a mere villager is a joke too good to pass up, and in his final moments he asks Clay if there's anything he wants to say. Clay doesn't waste time with words. With one decisive crushing blow, he ends the reign of terror, once and for all, the shockwave finally waking the fallen prince from his slumber. The prince wakes up to a sight he can't comprehend. The Demon King is dead. When he realizes it was Clay who did the impossible, his brain practically shuts down in disbelief. But then, the prince notices something that makes the situation even weirder. Clay is holding the Holy Sword, a weapon that should be impossible for anyone outside the royal bloodline to even touch. Is this villager actually his secret brother? As the Holy Sword reacts with a blinding light, Clay just brushes it off as some special treatment for the Demon King's slayer. While the prince is in awe, Clay is already calculating the end of the war. With the Demon King's unique Demon's Lord skill gone, the monsters have lost their master and their strength. The threat is permanently erased. It's a total, absolute victory. Reflecting on the journey, the prince realizes the royal prophecy was right all along. The mere villager he once doubted was actually the only one capable of saving the world. The prince is ready to crown Clay as the true hero of the kingdom, but Clay is having none of it. The moment the word victory speech is mentioned, he goes from a legendary warrior to a panicked man just trying to escape the spotlight. Upyode, after the Demon King's fall, the royal capital of Altnia is buzzing. King Zeld stands tall, welcoming back his son, Prince Yuke, and the party that saved the world. But not everyone is celebrating. Prime Minister Geig Conrad is sweating bullets, unable to believe the impossible has happened. While he showers the party with praise and promises of rewards, Clay notices the tension. He knows the Prime Minister and Yuki are far from friends. Behind that fake smile, Geig is calculating. If Yuki is hailed as the true hero, the balance of power shifts and Prince Alton's claim to the throne is in jeopardy. His solution? Simple. Just strip Yuki of the credit and hand it to someone else. Then comes the moment of truth. Flora and Yuki both claim they were useless in the final fight, leaving the king baffled. The room goes silent as Yuki prepares to reveal the identity of the true savior. Bombshell drops. Yuki claims he is the one who defeated the Demon King. The court erupts in absolute chaos. Shock, disbelief, and confusion collide as the prince suddenly becomes the world's greatest hero. The proof is undeniable. The Holy Sword Aronsvale, a weapon that only those of royal blood can wield, left its mark on the Demon King. With a witness claiming they saw Yuki fight alone, the lie is perfectly sealed. But Flora isn't buying it. Flora explodes in a rage, screaming at Yuki for lying to the king. The tension is electric as she demands to know why he'd steal the glory, while a panicked Yuki desperately tries to calm her down. Yuki is crushed by guilt, apologizing for playing the part of a scumbag by stealing a friend's achievement. But Clay, watching from the shadows, sees the bigger picture. He knows exactly why this lie is necessary. Enters Sage Teritas, who reveals the deadly political game at play. With Prince Alton in first place for the throne, Yuki's sudden rise as a hero puts him in the running. And that makes him a target for the power-hungry Duke Conrad. Clay realizes that honesty would only lead to Yuki's downfall. If the Duke can't control the king, he'll destroy the successor. With a determined smirk, Clay makes his choice. He'll be the secret weapon that clears the path for Yuki to build a peaceful kingdom. The prince is left stunned, wondering if Clay lied just to protect him. But Clay's own thoughts are far more practical. He'd much rather dump the hero title on Yuki and enjoy a lazy life. Flora flips the script, deciding to throw her full support behind Yuki to make sure Clay's skills aren't wasted. But as the dust settles, the prince asks the big question. What's next for Clay? Clay finally admits there's something he's been dying to try. He's not looking for a vacation. He's aiming for the most dangerous place on the planet. Clay's target? The great land of demons. He wants to pioneer the forbidden region known as Hengoku. The prince and Flora are absolutely floored. Who in their right mind would go to a monster-infested wasteland? But Clay has a plan, a legal loophole that turns a death trap into a private estate. It's not just about the land. It's about the freedom. Clay knows that for people like the prince, there's no such thing as a quiet life. He wants to build a sanctuary where they can actually breathe. With a bittersweet farewell, his friends give him their blessing, admitting they'll miss him. Just as the moment gets emotional, a sudden knock at the door shatters the silence. And just like that, reality hits. The prince and Flora are instantly swarmed by a mountain of royal duties and political chaos. Watching them get dragged away, Clay can only think one thing. Being a hero is a total nightmare. A fleeting thought crosses his mind. Should he tell them the truth about who really saved the world? He quickly brushes it off as a joke. A few days later, gear packed and sword ready, Clay is finally stepping out. He slips away without a formal goodbye, knowing that a simple farewell to royalty involves enough paperwork to last a lifetime. For a simple villager, a quiet exit is the only way. As he looks back, memories of their shared battles and quiet moments flood in. They've walked a long road together, but now, Clay's path leads him far away from everything he's known. Clay thinks he's finally made his escape, but he's stopped dead in his tracks by three familiar faces. He's completely blindsided. Why on earth are they all here? Prince sees right through him, delivering a line that hits like a truck. Clay is a precious comrade, now and forever. The sheer sincerity leaves Clay absolutely speechless. Before he can even process the emotion, he's swallowed whole by a sudden, crushing group hug. It's a chaotic explosion of affection that catches everyone off guard. With a warm smile and a final wish for their health, Clay finally turns his back on the capital. As his friends wave from the distance, his journey toward a quiet life truly begins. Days of peaceful traveling and campfire meals are suddenly shattered by a piercing, blood-curdling scream. Clay's instincts kick in instantly. He's sprinting toward the danger, finds a carriage under siege by a pack of snarling forest wolves, with the driver barely holding on. No time for talk. Clay immediately begins channeling his wind magic. One move is all it takes. With a devastating wind cutter, Clay shreds through the monster pack in a single blinding flash of power. The driver is left in total shock, wondering who this savior is. But Clay is already playing it cool, trading his rescue for a much-needed ride in the carriage. He meets Grant and his daughter Rita. But the mood shifts the moment he mentions his destination. The mention of the frontier seems to strike a very specific chord with the merchants. Grant decides that seeing the place is better than explaining it, leaving Clay intrigued. Meanwhile, the scene shifts back to the royal palace, where the prince enjoys a quiet tea, until a visitor arrives. Duke Conrad makes a sudden appearance, masking his true intentions with a smug smile as he congratulates the prince on defeating the Demon King. But as the pleasantries end, his expression shifts. He has something far more sinister on his mind. The atmosphere turns ice cold as Conrad drops a bombshell of a question. Did the prince actually defeat the Demon King? The prince is left completely blindsided by the sudden accusation. Even with the Holy Sword's verification, Conrad isn't buying it. He points out a fatal flaw. Since no one knows what the Demon King actually looked like, the corpse could have been a complete fake. To clear things up, Conrad proposes a twisted test of strength. He challenges the prince to a mock battle against 3 S-rank adventurers to prove he possesses the power of a true hero. The prince is trapped. He knows he lacks the strength to kill the Demon King, but refusing would destroy his reputation. With no other choice, he swallows his pride and accepts the challenge. While the prince prepares for his public trial, the scene shifts to Clay, who is traveling by carriage. A sudden shout from his companion snaps him out of his thoughts. They've finally arrived. Clay peers out at the horizon and his eyes widen. Looming over the landscape is a sight that defies logic, a forest of colossal ancient trees. The sheer scale of the wilderness is overwhelming. This is it, the legendary and desolate region known as Hengoku. Instead of fear, a smirk plays on Clay's lips. The challenge of developing this wild land is exactly the kind of excitement he's been looking for. They reach Emil Village, the last stop before the wilderness, and Clay looks for a place to stay for the next month. But the companion's response is a total buzzkill. There are no inns in this town. A sudden, overly enthusiastic invitation. The girl practically begs Clay to stay at her home, leaving him completely flustered. He's hesitant about the optics of staying in a house with a young girl, but the father insists it's the only way to repay him for saving them. Eventually, Clay gives in, but only until he can build his own place. And so begins a new chapter. The life of a retired hero seeking nothing but freedom in the remote frontier. In peace at last, Clay wakes up to the quiet sounds of the countryside, starting his day in a simple home. But as he heads downstairs, he's immediately greeted by a familiar, energetic face. Who could ask for more? A hearty, home-cooked breakfast served with a dazzling smile. Clay is quickly won over by the taste of fresh, steaming potatoes, feeling the warmth of genuine hospitality. But the honeymoon phase is interrupted by a serious question. What is his actual goal here? When Clay casually mentions he's here to develop the dangerous frontier of Hengoku, the locals practically choke. To them, it's a suicide mission filled with monstrous beasts. But to Clay, it's just another Tuesday. He doesn't just talk the talk. Reminding them of the overwhelming power he displayed during their rescue, Clay admits he has some confidence. The locals are floored by his magic, wondering if he possesses a legendary skill seed. But Clay's answer is a simple, surprising no. The reveal is a total curveball. Clay's only skills are appraisal and imitation, abilities considered completely ordinary. The locals are baffled. How can someone so powerful possess such mundane talents? Clay breaks down the system. Usually, a seed dictates your path, whether it's the blade or the arcane. While having 2 seeds is rare, Clay's specific combination seems useless for fighting. He admits his skills are more about identifying items and copying techniques than raw power. The girl sees it differently. Isn't it more impressive to be that strong without any innate combat talent? This sparks a memory of a wise sage, who once told him that a person's destiny isn't written in their skills, but forged through the people they meet. In the end, a seed is just a starting point. Clay knows that real strength comes from hard work and creativity, not just a gift from birth. With a new home and a fresh start, the path ahead is wide open. Clay is ready to explore the mysterious region of Hengoku, but his journey is cut short when a stranger suddenly leaps in front of him with a loud shout. The aggressive newcomer demands to know who Clay is and how he managed to get close to Mr. Grants. While Clay can only wonder if this is just some overprotective village kid, the man doesn't hold back, screaming that no matter who accepts him, the village, and especially he, will never welcome a stranger in their midst. Walks away. He notices the cold, suspicious glares of the other villagers, realizing that trying to settle next to a place like Hengoku makes him an immediate target of distrust. Entering the nearby woods, Clay notes the lack of monster presence and recalls that the medicinal herbs here are the village's primary lifeline. The peaceful atmosphere vanishes the moment he discovers a wall of abnormal twisted thorns, the apparent gateway to the dreaded Hengoku. Stepping across the boundary, Clay observes the withered flora, noting that the magic here is so concentrated it would be lethal to any ordinary human. He plunges into the abyss, where the very fabric of reality seems to warp around him under the gaze of an unseen entity. The air shifts instantly, turning heavy and oppressive, signaling to Clay that this is definitely no place for a casual stroll. Activating his appraisal skill, Clay is shocked to find goblins with combat power far beyond the norm, but for him they're nothing more than a perfect way to warm up. Wait, how did they find me? Clay is caught completely off guard as a pack of monsters lunges from the shadows, despite his best efforts to erase his presence. Fast, dangerously fast, the creatures swarm him in a blur of motion, leaving Clay with barely a second to react to the ambush. But speed means nothing against a true master. With one fluid, devastating arc of his blade, Clay shreds through the attackers, noting that no matter how fast they are, goblins are still just goblins. Looking at the carnage, Clay realizes something is off. These look like ordinary goblins, yet their speed was unnatural, leading him to suspect that the dense magic of the frontier is empowering the local wildlife. Then he finds a prize, a massive magic stone. Realizing this is the key to developing the land, Clay feels a surge of excitement and decides to dive deeper into exploration. The frontier becomes his training ground as he effortlessly tears through carnivorous plants and strange beasts. Meanwhile, back at home, Rita hears the door click open. "Welcome back, Clay-san." Rita greets him with a bright smile, shocked that he returned so much earlier than expected. Clay just shrugs it off, offering her the hoard of magic stones he gathered. Rita is hesitant, worried the stones are too valuable for them to simply accept. But as Clay looks at their flickering lamp, he realizes the harsh truth. In this remote region, even basic magic tools are a struggle to power. Eyeing the villagers struggle with the daily grind of frontier life, Clay's heart stirs. He's not just here to relax anymore. He's found a new mission to make life easier for the people around him. With a warm smile and a broom in hand, Rita welcomes him back to the cozy life he's now determined to improve. Dinner is ready, and the true hero's second life is just getting started. Clay is ready to get to work. With a single storage command, he clears the chaos and organizes his gear in a flash, building a new life in Hengoku, a wild frontier where monster-infested forests rule the land. His dream is simple, a quiet, free existence where he can finally welcome friends into his own home. But a dream house requires a safe foundation. As he meticulously crafts a magic stove, Clay recalls how he was the original pioneer of magic tool-making. It wasn't always this effortless. He flashes back to his younger self, a boy with nothing but a basic shield skill, taken in by a party of heroes who gave him a family and taught him how to read and write. A bright smile snaps him back to the present. The prince pulls back the curtains, his cheerful good morning filling the room. For someone who spent his life in total isolation, these simple moments were the ultimate luxury. He didn't care about the fame of the Demon King quest. He just wanted to repay the people who changed his world. But then, the sage asks a question that stops him cold, staring at Clay's magic circles. The sage is completely floored. He explains that this level of precision is something even academy students struggle to learn in an entire year of study. The sage's mind starts racing as he connects the dots. He remembers the two specific skill seeds Clay possesses, imitation and appraisal, and then it clicks. Individually, those skills are unremarkable, but together, they're a cheat code. If Clay can analyze any master's technique and replicate it perfectly just by looking, the possibilities are terrifying. The sage leans in, his gaze turning sharp and intense. He drops a bombshell. This hidden power might be the real reason for the prophecy, and Clay could potentially surpass even the greatest sages. Desperation hits a peak as Clay throws himself onto the ground in a full dogeza. He's practically begging, pleading for the prince to teach him, promising he'll do absolutely anything to make it happen. It was a time of intense growth and gratitude. Clay looked up to the elite, Teratas's devastating magic, Yuke's peerless swordsmanship, and Flora's masterful spells. Through grueling training, he imitated every single technique, driven by a simple desire to be useful. He never expected that this path would lead him to become the one who defeated the Demon King. Fast forward to the present, and he's just a man finishing his work, stretching out and craving some fresh air before dinner. Back in the frontier, Clay is greeted by Grants, who asks how his time in the hell of Hengoku went. Clay casually mentions taking down some goblins, but Grants's face goes pale. Those aren't just goblins, they're A-rank monsters. Clay is baffled. If those creatures are that powerful, why haven't they attacked the village? Grants drops a bombshell. The moment those monsters step outside the borders of Hengoku, they die. A biological death sentence. Unless they spend weeks or even a month adapting alone, the outside world is lethal. Clay's mind races as he realizes the culprit. It's all about the magic power. Hengoku is a land of extreme mana density, and its monsters have evolved to be addicts, constantly absorbing that thick energy to survive. Without that high concentration fuel, they simply cannot exist. Clay realizes that neutralizing this magic power is the ultimate challenge, but the mystery goes deeper. Grants points toward the distance, warning Clay that there is a place out there that completely transcends human wisdom. The heavy atmosphere vanishes the moment they step inside, greeted by a cheerful girl with braids. As she tells the fathers to relax while she makes dinner, Clay decides to reveal some magic tools he's been working on. He unveils a magic stove in a storage unit, basically a fantasy refrigerator. The girl is absolutely floored, realizing her father is a total genius when it comes to domestic magic tools. Clay is busy installing a piece of equipment, but when the couple mentions rent, he shuts it down immediately. This isn't a business deal. It's a thank you for their help. And the gift? A high-tech magic stove that's about to change their lives. For Clay, the true purpose of a magic tool is simple. Make people happy while ensuring the creator can still eat. His humble words hit home, leaving the young girl completely touched by his kindness. One button for fire, one lever for heat. It's almost too easy. The girl is absolutely floored by the convenience, and seeing her pure excitement brings a satisfied smile to Clay's face. But he's not done yet. Clay introduces a storage unit that keeps food fresh indefinitely, leaving the man in total awe. With this new power, the girl has one goal in mind, finally making pancakes that aren't either burnt or raw. Success. The pancakes are perfect and the girl is already a pro with the equipment. But Clay has a secret worry. These tools require massive magic stones to run, and replacing them would be an impossible expense for the couple. Then comes the bombshell. Clay reveals he used a custom-made goblin magic stone from the frontier. The man's brain practically shuts down as he realizes this isn't just a tool. It's a priceless, once-in-a-century invention. Meanwhile, the peace is threatened. While some villagers find the new energy in town refreshing, a certain headband-wearing guardian is far from convinced. He's smelling a rat, and he's determined to rip the mask off any fake who dares enter. A towering stack of fluffy pancakes and a couple of happy faces. The retired hero's domestic bliss is in full swing. The quiet of the forest is shattered when Clay is suddenly intercepted. Before the guardian can even react, Clay drops a bomb. He already knows exactly who he's dealing with. Kiza, the village protector. Clay warns him that the path ahead leads to the dangerous lands of Hengoku. But Kiza isn't backing down, driven by his duty to protect the village from outsiders. Just as the tension peaks, Clay's calm gaze suggests he already knows exactly what Kiza is after. Kiza is absolutely losing it, screaming that he'll protect Rita with his life and won't let a single finger touch her. But Clay? He's just standing there, completely unfazed, wondering if this is what Youth feels like while being yelled at. While the spiky-haired man worries about Clay's journey to Hengoku, he's warned against entering the forest alone. But the real blow comes from the girl, who gushes over how cool Clay was for saving them, leaving the other guy completely crushed. After the spiky-haired man storms off in a huff, Clay reflects on his suspicious first impression. But he's already planning ahead. He's going to build a home here, starting with a little rehearsal to make sure everything is perfect for Kiza. Time to get to work. With a single devastating burst of wind magic, Clay clears the forest, slicing through massive trees like they're nothing. He doesn't stop there. Clay cycles through his arsenal, using water magic to dry the timber and earth magic to flatten the land, before lifting the logs into place with effortless psychokinesis. And just like that, boom, a fully functional shelter appears out of nowhere. Clay leans back, satisfied with his handiwork, noting how the sunlight now transforms this hellish region into something actually pleasant. But a question lingers. If this land is so developable, why did the kingdom give up on it? Suspecting the influence of powerful monsters, Clay decides to run a little experiment. He'll leave his new home unguarded for one night and see what happens. Back at the village, the atmosphere is tense. Clay finds Alzum, Kiza's father, who looks completely distressed. One question from Clay is all it takes to break the silence. The news hits hard. Kiza hasn't come back. Alzum explains the village's strict rules against entering the forest after dark due to the monsters, making Kiza's disappearance even more inexplicable. While Alzum clings to hope, Clay already has a theory. Did the boy actually follow him into the depths of the forest? With a sharp glint in his eye, Clay activates his appraisal skill to hunt for the truth. Clay activates his search magic, but the village is empty. He knows he has to push deeper into the forest to find Kiza. With a search radius of only 2 kilometers, Clay keeps moving to expand his reach. He finally picks up a signal, but the initial relief quickly turns into a cold realization. A massive monster's presence flares up right next to Kiza. Clay screams in desperation, ordering everyone to stay back as he races toward the danger. Hidden behind a rock, Kiza is paralyzed with fear as a colossal horned beast towers over him. A red grizzly, a nightmare from Hengoku. Terrified that this beast might reach his father in the village, Kiza tries to flee, but panic makes him stumble. The beast is momentarily asleep. Seizing the chance, Kiza tries to sneak past, his entire body shaking with every step. One wrong move is all it takes. A sudden slip sends him crashing to the ground, and the silence of the forest is shattered. The monster awakens, its predatory eyes locking onto the boy. Just as the beast looms over him, Clay bursts onto the scene with a desperate roar. Too late to stop the first blow. The monster's claw sends Kiza flying through the air. Clay grits his teeth, charging in with a curse. In a flash of steel, Clay delivers a devastating strike that cleaves through the monster. The beast barely has time to register the attack before it's completely overwhelmed. While Kiza lies broken in a pool of blood, his breath shallow and his body shattered. As Clay kneels beside him, Kiza can only let out a weak, delirious laugh, knowing that wounds this deep are a one-way ticket to the grave. Under the cold moonlight, Kiza's mind drifts to the lifelong jealousy that consumed him. He dreamed of the world beyond the village, a world Clay already owned, and he hated him for it, and for the way he looked at Rita. The pride of a warrior finally snaps as Kiza breaks down in tears, unable to comprehend why the man he despised would risk everything to save him. Without a word, Clay places his hand on the wound, summoning a divine light. A thunderous call of "Heal" rips through the air as a pillar of celestial energy engulfs them. In a blinding flash, the fatal injuries that should have ended Kiza's life are simply erased from existence. Kiza bolts upright, staring at his flawless skin in total shock. Clay just laughs it off, teasing him for being so dramatic about nearly dying, while Kiza struggles to process the miracle that just happened. While reeling, Kiza asks why Clay would go this far for someone who hated him. Clay just gives a confident smirk, brushing off the hatred as cute jealousy before asserting his seniority and dragging the grumpy warrior home. A village erupts in a chaotic wave of relief as Clay returns, carrying a healed but deeply mortified Kiza on his back. The proud warrior can only blush in silence as the villagers swarm them with cheers. Once the reunion takes a violent turn as Kiza's father delivers a thunderous scolding for his son's recklessness. But once the shouting dies down, the father's expression softens into one of genuine, heartfelt gratitude toward Clay. The mood shifts to absolute awe when the village realizes Clay didn't just save Kiza. He slaughtered a legendary red grizzly. When Clay drops a massive magic stone on the ground with a heavy thud, the villagers realize they are in the presence of a true monster. Celebration is immediate and loud, with the village planning a massive feast to honor Clay's incredible feat. But as the laughter rings out in the frontier, a mysterious, knowing smile echoes from the depths of the royal castle. A mysterious figure in a dark cloak descends into the depths of a stone dungeon. As a massive iron gate screeches open, a voice echoes through the hall. They've finally found who's hiding in the dark. The cloaked figure stands before a colossal, chained entity. The remains of the Demon King. Even in death, the aura is suffocating, and the visitor can't help but admire the sheer presence of the fallen ruler. But this isn't a visit of respect. It's a conspiracy. A sinister plot is unfolding in the capital, with a hooded figure vowing to crush the Demon King's ambitions and bring a brutal judgment upon the hero. Meanwhile, back in the village, the mood is far more festive. Clay is greeted by the village chief, who is overflowing with gratitude for saving young Kiza. It's easy to see where the boy gets his spirit. He's the spitting image of his father, both of them radiating the same fierce warrior energy. But behind that energy, Kiza is struggling. He confesses to Clay that he dreams of being an adventurer, but feels trapped by his own weakness compared to the man who came from the outside. Suddenly the tension snaps. With a face red from determination, Kiza lets out a desperate plea, begging Clay to teach him how to fight, and calling him Big Brother in the process. Clay is caught off guard, but a soft smile plays on his lips. He tells a concerned friend that he'll help the boy, though only in his spare time, since there are things Kiza simply can't learn within the village walls. Clay's motivation is simple. He was once made stronger by his own comrades, and now he wants to pay that forward. He tells Kiza to keep training with his father, while revealing his grand dream of turning the frontier into a sanctuary for his old friends. As he looks on with a gentle expression, Clay admits that creating this paradise is the only way he can truly repay the people who believed in him. He can only imagine the look on their faces when they finally see what he's built. The next day, Clay returns to the area he scouted, but as he reaches the cliff, he freezes. This isn't the landscape he remembers. Did he take a wrong turn or has something shifted? Right before him is impossible. A colossal tree has erupted overnight, and beneath its shadow lie the shattered remains of the east house he just built. If the forest can reclaim the land this fast, the entire reclamation project is in jeopardy. When kneeling to touch the earth, Clay realizes the soil is saturated with a terrifying amount of magic, fueling this abnormal growth. Just as he's analyzing the phenomenon, a small white-haired figure appears and bows, addressing him as Sage-sama. The mysterious figure explains that they've been pouring their own magic into the depleted soil to help crops grow. But Clay sees a different path. If the land is overflowing with power, why not simply absorb it all? With a surge of energy, Clay activates a massive magic circle to drain the soil's power, reversing a spell he used in the past. 3 days pass, and the landscape transforms once again. A boisterous, scarred man named Alzum arrives, offering his help as a favor. While he acts friendly, Alzum is secretly shaken. He knows how hostile Hengoku is, and Clay's effortless confidence is far from normal. Alzum warns that he'll stick by Clay until he finally gives up, but the moment they round the corner, he stops dead. There, standing perfectly intact, is the house. Alzum completely loses it, screaming that the forest should have crushed the building by now. Clay just smiles, unfazed, and offers him some tea before promising a demonstration of how he solved the problem. Clay breaks down the process, starting with the basics of clearing the land. Then, with a sudden flash of light, he manifests a complex double-layered magic circle, right beneath their feet. A perfect loop. The bottom layer absorbs magic from the soil, and the top layer immediately consumes it. By drawing out the land's magical reserves, Clay has ensured that no abnormal trees will ever grow here again. A colossal vortex of energy erupts, shaking the very ground. Amidst the chaos, a scarred man grits his teeth, determined to outlast his opponent's magic. Then, the scene shifts to a surprising calm. Clay and the scarred man stand before a new home, discussing the land's potential over the promise of tea and celebratory sake. But the peace is a facade. In a flash, the atmosphere turns lethal as the scarred man draws his weapon with a menacing glare. Clay doesn't even flinch. He calls the man by name, and calmly reveals he's been watching him for a week, simply waiting for him to make a move. The tension breaks into a strange mutual respect. Alzum reaches out, questioning if Clay is truly all right, though a flicker of nervousness still lingers on his face. With a sharp, confident look, Clay declares that he'll handle any future trouble with his own two hands. The response? Alzum bursts into a boisterous, impressed laugh. But they are being watched. From the oppressive darkness of the forest, a mysterious woman observes them, deciding that if this human disturbs her territory, she will have no choice but to fight. Far away at the Royal Magic Academy, a different mystery is brewing. A blonde youth and a noblewoman discuss a phantom intruder who breached the castle's basement days ago. The stakes are higher than they seem. Hidden beneath the castle lies the preserved corpse of the Demon King. A lifeless shell, yet a treasure that could attract the world's most dangerous thieves. While the Great War has ended, the political battle rages on. Exhausted by the endless cycle of human greed and forced marriages, the noblewoman realizes that peace is just another word for a different kind of war. A lingering gaze and a heavy heart, a blonde warrior whispers a name that seems to echo in the silence. Clay. She's clearly missing the companion who walked away. But elsewhere, the mood is far from melancholy. It's time for some home-brewed drinks and loud laughter as Clay kicks back with a boisterous companion. Back to the grind. Clay's been putting a spiky-haired youth through the ringer in sword training. The kid is finally finding his rhythm, and Clay's impressed. He's actually getting good. Not wanting the mentorship to end, the youth practically begs Clay to stay in the village. But Clay has his own sanctuary to tend to, leaving the aspiring warrior behind as he returns to his home in Hengoku. Time to make this place feel like a home. With a heavy thud, Clay sets down a chair, surveying his room with a satisfied smile. Furniture really does change everything. Most of the place is handcrafted from the local timber, but Clay realizes he can't live out of a sleeping bag forever. He starts dreaming big, self-sufficient gardens, guest houses, and maybe even a luxury open-air bath. Looking out at the vast wilderness, Clay feels like he's hit the jackpot with this entire forest to develop. There's just one major headache: the grueling daily trek between Emil Village and his home. He imagines a world where his friends could visit without fighting through the brush. Then, a spark of inspiration hits. Why search for a path when he can just build a road? With a plan in mind and a need for supplies, Clay heads to see a merchant named Grant. Over a meal, Grant can only stare in disbelief at Clay's latest amazing idea. Clay wants a paved road, but he's mindful of the villagers' hunting grounds. So Grant suggests getting the chief's blessing first. Just as Grant mentions how much a girl named Rita misses him, she bursts onto the scene with a shocked scream. "Father!" The air turns thick with tension as Rita blushes, her voice barely a whisper. She admits that ever since Clay arrived, her world has become unexpectedly lively and fun. Gathering her courage, Rita asks the one question that reveals her true feelings. If a path is ever made, can she come to visit him? Clay doesn't hesitate, promising to install monster-repelling magic tools, so she can make the journey safely on her own. Wux suggests she bring a combat partner, mentioning someone named Kiza, which prompts Rita to note how hard Kiza has been training lately. With a final word of encouragement, the scene shifts. The next day has arrived. Clay seeks out an expert to discuss the forest, and the man is stunned by the request. However, he reveals a secret. A remnant of an ancient path still exists, and he directs Clay to the hunters and guardians. Specifically, a man named Alzam. As Clay thanks him, the man reveals a deeper connection, explaining that Amur Village was founded by a pioneer group. As a descendant of those pioneers, he feels a personal drive to support Clay's ambitions. After a heartfelt farewell, Clay ventures into the deep woods with Alzam. The guide stops abruptly, pointing toward the earth. The hidden ruins of the old path have finally been found. Clay marvels at the age of the ruins, which Alzam claims are hundreds of years old. The plan is simple. Clear the trees and lay new stones. A task Clay casually compares to building a house. Alzam is ready to get to work immediately. Then, the real power comes out. With a devastating wind cutter, Clay shreds through the forest, followed by a massive upthrust that rips heavy boulders right out of the ground. Finale is a crushing ground press that flattens the terrain in an instant. Alzam stands there completely speechless. This isn't just clearing a path. It's a total environmental overhaul. Full of energy, Clay pumps his fist and declares they'll clear the entire old path to the frontier right now. A bewildered Alzam can only wonder if he's actually planning to do it all in one day. While Clay demands he lead the way, a perfectly paved road now cuts through the wilderness toward the house, and the man stands there in a heavy silence, staring at the result of his labor. Alzam arrives with a boisterous laugh. But the mood quickly shifts to the future of the village's youth, and the need to push their training to the next level. The conversation turns to skill shields, the only way to uncover one's true talent. But it's clear that for the people of this village, such a thing is a distant dream. Reality is brutal. Only the church in the far-off capital holds the tools for the check, making it an expensive and nearly impossible journey. Then, he drops a total bombshell. With a casual smile, he reveals he can just make the magic tool himself, using forbidden knowledge passed down from his master. Absolutely stunned, the scarred man can barely process the news, quickly agreeing to gather every villager who wants their potential unlocked. As the sun sets, the two walk back along the new path, bathed in a surreal shimmering light that makes the forest feel like another world. Even with the road complete, the scarred man reminds him that the dark forest is still a place of extreme danger. Between the instant road and the forbidden magic, the scarred man is reaching his limit. He has to know, who on earth is this man? A flash of a monstrous battle reveals his true scale, but he just smiles and gives the most modest lie imaginable. I'm just a villager. Clay only asked for a few volunteers, but he didn't expect this. He looks out in shock to find that practically every single person in the village has shown up. With a determined stride, Clay makes his way back toward the heart of the village. It turns out the word free is the ultimate bait. As the villagers buzz with excitement, Clay reveals his creation, a skill sheet, though to the skeptical muscular man, it looks like nothing more than a plain slab of metal. Clay tries to explain the complex mithril circuits and magic boards, but the muscular man is completely lost. To get things moving, Clay calls up the village chief and asks him to place his hand on the plate. While the device processes, Clay reveals a grim truth. The church's official skill checks are designed to hoard information, allowing them to manipulate and lure talented people into the service of the nobility. Village chief solemnly recalls stories of saints being forcibly taken by the church. But as he touches the plate, the silence is shattered by a sudden, blinding eruption of light. The result is staggering. Commander. Clay explains that this is an incredibly rare and powerful skill, one that is perfectly suited for someone leading a village. Clay warns that if the church ever found out, the military and nobility would scout him instantly. The chief is left reflecting on his life, wondering what would have happened if he'd known this when he was younger. With a gentle smile, the chief admits he's happy with the life he has now, noting that he probably would have lived too recklessly otherwise. Clay, feeling the awkwardness of the moment, quickly apologizes for the intrusive question. Deeply grateful, the chief thanks Clay for giving the village's youth a chance to find their own potential. With a cheerful wave, Clay signals the crowd. It's time for everyone else to line up and discover their true power. The village is in a total frenzy as everyone discovers their skill shields. From a confused cook to a reluctant teacher, the air is thick with surprise and bickering. Meanwhile, Clay explains to a young man that being a negotiator is a golden ticket if he joins the army. Then comes the big reveal. The muscular Granz is a guardian warrior. While Granz is clueless about what that even means, Clay reveals the truth. This isn't just about defense. It's a powerhouse skill that can even master magic. Granz is over the moon, but Clay's smile hides a darker thought. He knows that in the outside world, these assessments can be a death sentence for a child's future, a cruelty that even the hero Yuke tries to fight against. Clay recalls the coldness of the nobility, where a useless skill means the end of your social life. It's a brutal contrast to the warmth of this village, where Granz practically tackles him with a shout of "Brother!" Finally, it's the last two, a nervous girl and an eager boy. Clay tells them to place their hands on the board, and as the boy touches the surface, a blinding light erupts. The results are in, and they're absolutely insane. The girl is a high-rank magic toolmaker, and the boy is a magic sword master. Both of them are completely floored. They have no idea what these titles even mean. Clay is visibly shaken by the rarity of the results. He tries to gather his thoughts before telling the boy Kiiza that being a magic swordmaster is an incredibly prestigious and powerful rank. To explain the madness, Clay breaks it down with a diagram. A magic swordmaster is a rare hybrid of a swordsman and a mage. Kiiza doesn't quite grasp the technicalities, but he's thrilled to find out he's a legendary tier warrior. Clay can't help but imagine the chaos if Kiiza ever stepped foot in the royal capital. He'd be knight captain material in a heartbeat. But then he turns to Rita, reminding her that her high-rank magic toolmaker status is just as elite. From alchemy to magic circles, Clay lists the endless possibilities for Rita's new career. He suggests she could even make tools to sell to Granz, leaving the poor girl completely overwhelmed by a future she never saw coming. The air is thick with awkwardness as the man makes a surprising offer. He'll teach her the basics of magic, and even how to craft magic tools. But the girl's reaction is a shy, hesitant decline, insisting she's perfectly fine just as she is. Not one to let talent go to waste, he immediately pivots to Kiiza, proposing to overhaul his training by adding magic to the mix. Kiiza is absolutely electrified by the news, while the man secretly imagines the prestige of becoming a magic instructor. But as he observes the villagers, a chilling realization hits him. Something is fundamentally wrong. The skill shields of these people are far too high to be a mere coincidence. He breaks down the facts. It's not just the top fighters like Rita and Kiiza who are exceptional, but every single villager possesses power comparable to the elite in the royal capital. He suspects there's a hidden condition they're all unknowingly satisfying. For a moment, he laments not knowing this secret sooner. He could have been a millionaire in the capital. But the strategic value is too high to ignore, and he decides it's time to send a letter to Yuke for a consultation. Meanwhile, the second prince, Yuke Fargus Altonia, is already hunting for the kind of talent that can help him govern the country. Back in the village, the man is praised as a great master, though some suspect he's a bit too independent for his own good. A few days later, the man returns to the dense wilds of Hengoku. But before he can continue developing the land, one mystery haunts him. Why did a red grizzly, the beast that nearly killed Kiiza, venture out of the forest? The monsters of Hengoku are bound by the region's dense magic, making such an excursion almost impossible. After confirming with the locals that this was an unprecedented event, he realizes the truth. Something is changing deep within the forest. A memory of Kiiza's bloodied form flashes through his mind, fueling a cold resolve. He's put too much work into these roads to let them be ruined, and he vows to hunt down and destroy whatever is causing these mutations. Far away in the capital, Prince Yuke reads a letter, perhaps wondering about the sheer audacity of the villagers, who can contact him so casually. Deep in the wilds of Hengoku, Clay has just taken down a massive beast. As he grills his prize over an open fire, he can't help but wonder just how vast and mysterious this frontier really is. Suddenly, the peace is shattered by a blinding explosion of energy erupting from the forest. While any other man would panic, Clay just watches the blast with a calm, knowing smile. With a casual wave of his hand, He summons a barrier that effortlessly deflects the attack. Once the dust settles, he calls out to the hidden observer, inviting them to stop hiding and show their face. From the shadows, a figure finally emerges. Stepping into the light is a woman of breathtaking beauty, her pointed ears immediately marking her as something other than human. An elf, a rare and ethereal sight in these lands. But instead of being starstruck, Clay's first instinct is a purely practical question. Can she even eat monster meat? The mysterious visitor admits she was lured in by the scent of the food. With a graceful smile, she asks if she may accompany him, and Clay simply continues eating in a heavy, awkward silence. As they share the meal, the conversation turns to the nature of the frontier. The elf notes with a hint of amusement that humans seem to treat this dangerous land like a casual picnic spot. Clay introduces himself as a simple villager trying to develop the land. But when the woman reveals her name is Charlotte, and that she actually lives here in the frontier, Clay is completely floored. Living here, in the deep, untamed heart of the forest, Charlotte smiles, explaining that the woods are far more peaceful than any human could ever imagine. That the deep interior is a sanctuary for elves, spirits, and beastmen. But as Clay listens, a dark reality flashes through his mind. The brutal history of non-humans being hunted and sold into slavery. In a world where humans and demons are sworn enemies, Clay has found a sanctuary in the remote region of Hengoku. But as he talks with a mysterious elf, she notes that for a human, he's suspiciously observant. Survival in Hengoku is no walk in the park, a harsh reality both races have faced. The elf explains that while they each carved out their own existence, they did so by choosing the path of least resistance. Clay wanted a place of peace, a refuge from the world, but the realization hits him like a ton of bricks. He wasn't just hiding, he was being watched the entire time. The mood shifts instantly when the elf calls him a terrifying existence. Clay is baffled, but the proof is right there. A massive swarm of spirits has gathered around him. Wait, what? Clay is completely blindsided as the air fills with glowing spirits. He's certain only elves can see them, yet here they are, crowding him in a way that defies logic. The elf reveals a legend. The beloved of spirits, humans whose emotions could literally warp the weather. From torrential rains to scorching heat, their feelings were a force of nature. But that power comes with a devastating price, a literal human bomb capable of leaving craters kilometers wide. To prevent a catastrophe, the elf offers him a mysterious ring. It's the spirit bracelet, a tool that lets a human hear the whispers of the spirits. As Clay accepts the gift, he realizes the elf gambled on his kindness, and he couldn't be more grateful. With the bracelet on, the tension eases, and the elf prepares to depart. But before she goes, she asks one final probing question. Has anything changed in Hengoku lately? Clay mentions the sudden appearance of a red grizzly, a sign that the monsters are growing restless. Though she can't help with the beast, the elf finally introduces herself. Her name is Charlotte. Clay asks if they'll meet again. But the elf's response is a cryptic, if there is a next time, leaving the air heavy with uncertainty. In a blur of speed, she vanishes. Clay isn't fooled by her friendly mask. He senses no killing intent, but his instincts warn him she's far from trustworthy. While Clay hopes for a peaceful coexistence in the frontier, Charlotte watches from the shadows, admitting he's a powerhouse too dangerous to provoke. But danger can't be ignored. She recalls the red grizzly and the tragedy that drove her people away, knowing there are monsters far worse than any human. Her path leads her to a sight that defies logic, a colossal ancient tree that dwarfs the entire landscape. But the awe turns to pure terror as a monstrous silhouette looms. Charlotte is shaken to her core. How can such a nightmare even exist? Back in the village, a stir erupts as a breathtaking woman arrives. The locals are instantly captivated by the mysterious priestess who introduces herself as Flora. A memory from 3 years ago surfaces. The celebrated hero visiting a frontier orphanage, promising the children a world where they can finally play without fear. But Clay saw the gaps in that victory. He argued that killing the Demon King was only the beginning. The real battle is ensuring these children have a future. And a woman's voice redefines the meaning of a hero. To her, saving isn't about food or medicine. It's about giving someone the hope that they deserve to live. A stunning blonde woman appears, radiating an aura of divinity. Who is this mysterious figure entering the scene? A sudden wake-up call. A man with a scar informs a sleepy Clay that a guest arrived in the village yesterday evening. Clay's reaction? Pure confusion. The guest is no ordinary visitor. She's a priestess from the church. A flashback reveals her performing a miracle, erasing old scars in an instant and leaving the locals in absolute awe. With a gentle smile, the blonde woman tells the villagers not to worry about payment. For her, this act of kindness was simply a thank you for their hospitality. Watching from the sidelines, Clay freezes. The villagers are praising her like a saint, but he knows exactly who she is. Flora, you haven't changed a bit, Clay muses with a smile. But the moment Flora spots him, the sweetness vanishes. She immediately starts scolding him for making her wait. Flora reveals she's disguised as a priestess to keep the church's authority intact and to avoid unnecessary drama. Once the secrets are settled, she turns her attention to Clay's project. She wants to see this Hengoku he's been developing. They arrive at a cozy house nestled deep in the woods. Flora is stunned. While the forest feels oppressive from a distance, the moment she steps closer, she feels a power far beyond her expectations. Flora is genuinely impressed, noting how Clay has meticulously adjusted the soil's magic to make the area safe even for children. But then, she asks the real question. What is his true purpose in developing this wasteland? Flora points out the impressive paved road leading to the house, though she claims she and her companions don't need it to visit. But the mood shifts as she brings up a rumor from the village. Did Clay really investigate the skill shields of every single resident? Flora drops a bombshell, claiming that things like skill shields and discrimination are completely unnecessary for the development of Hengoku. Clay can only stare in absolute shock, his mind racing to process her words. With a knowing smile, Flora points out that Clay has formed a truly deep bond with the people of this village. As he reflects on the faces of those who trust him, a soft, genuine smile finally touches his lips. The next day arrives, and Flora is officially introduced to the group. She reveals she's an old acquaintance from the royal capital, though her presence already seems to be stirring things up. Suddenly, the mood flips as Flora launches into a heated complaint. Clay hasn't sent her a single letter since leaving the capital. Clay tries to defend himself, admitting he wrote countless drafts only to crumple them up, unable to find the right words to express his feelings. But then Flora reveals a suspicious detail. A man named Yuusha did receive letters. Clay quickly clarifies that he and Yuusha traveled together for 4 years, and their correspondence is nothing more than a professional exchange of information. Air in the room instantly freezes. Just the two of them? The villagers' expressions shift to pure suspicion and shock, the implication of that 4-year journey hitting them like a ton of bricks. Flora doesn't let up, teasingly recalling the golden-haired nobles and luxurious old men they encountered. Clay looks completely overwhelmed as the memories, and the teasing, pile up. While one of the disciples beams with pride at being Clay's student, Flora offers to step in and teach the group magic. Clay's expression turns uneasy. He can tell this is going to be a handful. Then, Flora's professional side kicks in, and she is absolutely floored. High-rank magic toolmaker, magic swordmaster, guardian warrior, she can't believe such incredibly rare skills are all concentrated in one tiny village. Clay remains calm, noting that while such skills exist in the capital, seeing them in every villager is unheard of. He posits a daring hypothesis. Perhaps this phenomenon is a power derived from the very magic of the land itself. Clay reveals the secret behind the villagers' strength. It's all about the environment. The concentrated magic power of Hengoku naturally boosts the quality of their skill shields, and he notes that humans are just as susceptible to this power-up. Flora confirms the theory, but her words bring a sudden chill to the room. If Emil Village is revealed as a holy land for skill shields, it could shake the entire world, a prospect that leaves the group feeling an immediate sense of dread. Clay snaps, reminding them exactly why secrecy is non-negotiable. If the world finds out, the village would be swarmed by desperate migrants and power-hungry nobles from the capital, looking to seize the land for themselves. Relieved that they finally understand the danger, Clay lets out a sigh. But then, Rita asks the one question that shifts the mood entirely. Does he actually think he can teach her how to make magic tools? Clay reveals he's already mapped out their growth. While Alzam is a self-taught powerhouse and Kiza is destined for the sword, he believes Rita possesses a hidden talent that is simply too excellent to ignore. Rita's confidence shatters instantly. She's always seen herself as just an ordinary girl with no grand ambitions, and the idea of being mentored by legends like Clay makes her feel completely out of place. But the blonde woman offers a gentle, life-changing perspective. She tells Rita that if she doesn't have a dream, she can simply explore the possibilities of who she could be. Rita is instantly moved, looking at her with pure admiration. A moment of pure sisterly bonding. Rita has found a reliable role model in the blonde woman, marking the start of a brand new chapter in her life. Inspired, Rita decides to take the leap and explore her unknown potential. Flora reminds her that learning from Clay isn't just about crafting, it's about opening doors to a future she never imagined. Flora points out that even Clay used his unique skills to evolve, proving that knowledge is the ultimate tool for growth. That's all the push Rita needs. Her eyes light up with passion as she declares her desire to master magic tool crafting. It's decided. Clay makes a bold move, inviting Kiza and Alzam to join in on something new. While Alzam is skeptical, wondering if he's too old to start learning magic, Clay insists that even a guardian warrior has the seeds of talent. It's never too late to hone your skills. With a determined look, Clay leads the group to a secret workshop he's already prepared in the basement. The lesson begins with a simple click, a blank board and a pen ready for action. What do you think this wood is? Clay tests them with a piece of Trent wood, sparking an immediate reaction from the girl. He reveals the material is from the dangerous border prison, explaining that while its power is immense, it's far too volatile for a beginner to handle. Clay dives into the theory, explaining that a master magic toolmaker must understand the delicate compatibility of materials. When one of them groans about the studying, Clay shuts it down with a reality check. Learning a sword technique is just another form of study. Now it's time for the main event, creating an ignition tool for starting fires. Copy this circle as accurately as you can. Clay sets the challenge, but there's a catch. Drawing these requires a perfectly steady flow of magic power, a skill that usually takes years to master. But Clay has a trick up his sleeve. Special pens that automate the magic flow, letting the students focus entirely on the drawing. This is a total game changer. Even the veterans are stunned by the efficiency of Clay's custom pens, knowing how many students drop out of school just trying to master the basics. Then, the girl finishes her drawing, and Clay's eyes widen. It's nearly perfect. Let's see if it actually works. With a quick snap, Clay sets a magic stone into the circle. Suddenly, whoosh! A vibrant flame erupts from the board, leaving the girl absolutely breathless with shock. I actually did it! The girl is in awe, but Clay knows the truth. Her accuracy was spot on. He praises her natural talent for succeeding on the very first try, leaving her floating on a cloud of pure excitement. Clay finishes the final touches, showing them how to extinguish the flame by separating the board. The girl is so attached to her creation that she asks to keep it as a memento, while in the background, Alzum is having a complete meltdown over his crooked lines. The experience is so inspiring that the blonde woman actually considers quitting the church to become a magic toolmaker. Fast forward a few days, and while Rita and Kiiza have become pros at drawing circles, Alzum is still lagging behind, leaving the woman to wonder just how brilliant Clay's hidden knowledge really is. A serene night, but the air hums with a strange energy. Clay stands amidst a row of glowing streetlights, the silent guardians of his territory. While his companion marvels at the luxury of such lights, Clay's mind is on the villagers' safety. But the conversation quickly shifts. Why has the development of Hengoku come to a grinding halt? The mystery deepens as a cursed bracelet comes into play. Clay treats it like a mere accessory, but the woman knows the truth. And she knows who else is wearing one. It's not just a curse, it's a spirit bracelet. While it's meant to repel the invisible swarm of spirits surrounding Clay, he's completely blind to them, leaving him in the dark about the real danger. And there's Charlotte. Between her desire to escape Hengoku and the hint of mental magic, her motives are a blur. Clay's patience has run dry. He can't wait for her to make the first move. Under the silver glow of the full moon, Clay makes his choice. He's not waiting anymore. Tomorrow, he hunts for the hidden elf village. Just as he prepares for a solo mission, his companion crashes in with a burst of energy. She's not just coming along for the adventure. She admits she just wants to spend time with him. A heavy, awkward silence hangs between them, before Clay finally gives in. With a reluctant agreement, the duo plunges into the depths of the ancient forest. And then it appears, Vedafins, a breathtaking sanctuary of towering trees and hanging homes. But for Charlotte, this paradise is where her daily grind begins. Meet Melville, the elder of Vedafins. Despite his desire to step down, Charlotte accepts her honorable duty with a smile, unaware that her world is about to be turned upside down. A gentle farewell between two elves is quickly overshadowed by a sight of breathtaking scale. The World Tree, the sacred center of their faith and the heart of their world. This isn't just a tree. It's a powerhouse of magic that provides the elves with everything from medicine to weapons. But the peaceful atmosphere is about to be shattered by a looming shadow. Out of nowhere, a nightmare descends. A three-eyed jet-black dragon arrives, and its goal is nothing less than devouring the sacred World Tree itself. Elves fought back, but the cost was devastating. In a desperate bid for survival, they've started sacrificing the tree's own magic just to keep the beast at bay, essentially feeding the monster to save the forest. But Charlotte has had enough of this cowardly sacrifice. With a scream of pure rage, she launches a devastating energy attack, refusing to let the dragon keep winning. The strike lands, sending the beast reeling, but the effort leaves Charlotte completely drained. As her comrades rush to her side, she's left wondering why the monster is still standing. Broken and desperate, Charlotte's silent plea for help echoes into the void. Meanwhile, far away in the royal capital, a different kind of power is at play. Enter a man who reeks of arrogance. He's disgusted by the second prince's inclusive policies, viewing the hope of the commoners as nothing more than a pathetic joke, playing a dangerous game of politics. With the nobles already in his pocket, he sees the upcoming mock battle not as a test of skill, but as a perfect opportunity to orchestrate a cruel spectacle. But his ambitions go beyond politics. As he asks about a discovery in the underground, a glimpse of something chained and monstrous reveals a secret far more terrifying than a simple power struggle. A mysterious hooded figure smirks with a confusing A, while Clay remains completely unfazed. Everything is going exactly according to plan, and the pieces are finally falling into place. The stage is set for Chapter 11, where the fates of the shadow hero and his companions intertwine once more. Suddenly, the piece is shattered as a colossal great boar orc swings a massive axe down with bone-crushing force. Clay screams out a warning to Flora just as the blade descends. But Flora is ready, slamming down a holy barrier that halts the monster's assault in its tracks. With a calm exhale, she holds the line, leaving the beast completely stalled. All the opening Clay needs. He launches himself into the air, a single blinding flash of his blade, slicing the monster clean in half before it can even react. Once the dust settles, the conversation shifts from combat to cuisine. Flora notes that the boar orc meat is delicious and suggests sharing it with Emer Village, while Clay calculates that one beast can feed them for an entire year. Then, Clay brings up a culinary curiosity that makes Flora's skin crawl: eating goblins. He casually explains that with the right seasonings and a recipe from someone named Teradas, the smell disappears, but Flora is absolutely horrified by the idea. The light-hearted mood vanishes instantly as Clay stops dead in his tracks. He looks up at the canopy, his voice dropping as he identifies the presence in the sky. It's a dragon. A three-eyed nightmare descends from the clouds, its massive frame dwarfing everything below. Flora quickly throws up a barrier as the beast prepares to strike. The dragon slams into the shield with a deafening crash. But Clay just watches with a bored expression. He finds the arrival of a rare black dragon interesting, calmly asking Flora how the barrier is holding up. Facing down a massive beast, Clay asks the one question that turns a life-or-death battle into a menu choice. Does this guy taste good? Flora beside him admits she's never actually tried black dragon meat before. Dragon lunges, but the woman isn't even flinching. With a confident smirk, she deploys her absolute barrier, declaring that her shield is completely unbreakable. Crash! The dragon slams into the wall of light with everything it has, only for the woman to look on with total boredom, noting that the attack is surprisingly dull. Suddenly, the beast lets loose a devastating torrent of energy. Clay immediately activates his appraisal skill, identifying the terrifying dragon's breath for the first time. He analyzes the dark magic and the sheer power behind the blast, a smirk playing on his lips as he figures out the secret to its strength. So this is how it feels, production, he muses, triggering his imitation skill. In a sudden flip of the script, Clay unleashes a black dragon's breath of his own. The beast is caught completely off guard, blasted back by its own signature move. Explosion is absolute, sending the gargantuan dragon crashing to the earth, utterly defeated and left gasping in the dirt. Clay looks down at the fallen monster with cold indifference. He tells the beast it was simply unlucky to cross them, and as a mercy, he'll make sure none of it goes to waste by eating it. With his sword raised high, Clay stands over the massive creature, the predator now officially becoming the prey. As the dust settles, the blonde woman walks up to him with a bright smile. Good work, she says, the battle over in what felt like a heartbeat. Clay is deep in thought about the sheer complexity of the boundaries he's facing, something even his imitation skill can't perfectly replicate. But then there's Flora, a saint whose grace is as mesmerizing as her techniques. As they share a meal, Flora playfully asks him which part of the meat is the tastiest, leaving Clay to realize that her easygoing nature is exactly why she's so easy to be around. One bite and Flora is in heaven, declaring this the best dragon meat she's ever tasted. Clay can't help but wonder if his previous meals were actually subpar. With the meat providing a powerful recovery boost, the duo feels completely refreshed and ready to dive back into their search for the elves. Deep in the forest lies Vedafons, a breathtaking village woven into the canopy of giant trees. But beneath the beauty, tension is rising. The lead elf looks on with a frown, noting something is very wrong. The black dragon hasn't returned. Charlotte's worry grows as she questions the elder about the dragon's strange absence. Suddenly, a report arrives that has everyone on edge. 2 humans have breached the village. Even more shocking, one of them wears a spirit bracelet from Charlotte herself, a feat that should be impossible given the village's impenetrable illusionary boundary. The realization hits Charlotte like a bolt of lightning. Could it actually be Clay R's? With the elder's blessing to go and investigate, Charlotte sets off with a guide, her heart racing as she heads toward the unexpected visitors. Charlotte! Clay greets her with a cheerful wave, as if breaking into a secret village is just another Tuesday. Beside him, Flora introduces herself with a radiant smile, revealing she's a priestess of the Creation Church and a friend of Clay's. Charlotte can only stare in disbelief, completely thrown by the presence of this mysterious woman. Wall. Charlotte is baffled, demanding to know how they bypassed the boundary meant to keep all intruders out. Clay brushes it off casually, explaining he simply analyzed the structure and broke through, narrowly avoiding a few traps along the way. Now with night falling, he asks the most important question of all. Is there an inn where they can stay? The answer is a hard no, leaving Flora devastated. But Charlotte decides to be honest about the real reason they can't have guests. She points toward the towering heights of the great tree, revealing a terrifying truth. A massive black dragon has taken up residence at the very top. The village is in a state of crisis. They can't host humans while a dragon is terrorizing them. Charlotte explains that while the beast flew off for a moment, it always returns to feed on the world tree. It's a nightmare that continues every single day, slowly withering the tree until it's almost gone. Clay's expression goes blank. It flew away. Just now? He glances at Flora, who is wearing a very suspicious, knowing smirk. As Charlotte asks what's wrong, the horrifying truth dawns on Clay. The terrifying black dragon they're mourning is likely the same one they just finished eating. Clay casually mentions he defeated the enemy, but the mood shifts instantly when another elf reveals they've already eaten it. The female elf's reaction is pure chaos. The enemy is literally in someone's stomach. Chapter 12 begins, focusing on a mysterious and poignant goal, the long-held wish of the elf tribe. The scale of the feat is finally revealed. A colossal black dragon lies dead. The gathered elves are in complete disbelief, wondering how a mere 2 people could possibly take down such a monster. The shock turns into an emotional breakdown. For the female elf, this wasn't just a victory, it was the end of a lifetime of despair, and she can finally breathe again. A disbelief ripples through the entire community, turning into a wave of collective emotion. Suddenly, the silence breaks as the entire village erupts in a thunderous celebration for their saviors. Clay is completely oblivious to the magnitude of his achievement, but Flora reminds him that for these people, the dragon was an impossible wall. Enter Melvale, the chief of the Veda tribe, who offers them a place to recover. They are welcomed into a breathtaking village, woven into the forest. The chief's gratitude is overwhelming, praising them for saving the world tree itself. Though Clay's only motivation was that he wanted to eat the dragon, Melvale insists on rewarding them, treating their victory as a miracle. Seizing the opportunity, Clay makes a request that isn't about gold or glory. He wants official permission to develop the frontier. The request catches the chief off guard. But as Melvale considers Clay's overwhelming power, he realizes that having such a protector means the elves no longer have to carry the burden of guarding the land alone. A deep secret is revealed. The Veda tribe are divine guardians tasked with shielding the world from the frontier's dangers, and shielding humans from themselves. But the truth is darker, as some predators disguise themselves as elves to hunt the unwary. The elf leader makes a bold move, granting Clay the official authority to develop the frontier. He acknowledges Clay's strength after defeating the black dragon, but a chilling warning lingers. The region is home to those who harbor a deep, dangerous hatred for humans. With the conflict resolved, the path to developing the frontier is finally clear. But as they talk, a shocking revelation comes to light. The revered holy tree of the elves is actually just a branch planted from the legendary world tree. A sudden realization hits. If the world tree's essence can be harvested, its value would be astronomical. While the plan forms, the elf leader offers Clay a rare, priceless gift, the legendary elf's secret medicine. This isn't just medicine. It's a life crystal granted by the world tree itself. Despite Clay's hesitation at receiving such a treasure, the leader insists. It's a small price to pay for the man who saved their entire future. The alliance is sealed as the elves of Veda Fawns pledge their full support to Clay's vision. Clay can only stare in total shock. He came here for a quiet life, but he's accidentally gained the most powerful allies in the forest. A heartfelt thank you marks the end of the tension, but the mood flips instantly. The forest erupts into a wild, booze-filled celebration, with the elves throwing a party that's clearly getting out of hand. For a moment, Clay actually enjoys the chaos, finding a rare peace among his new friends. But the peace is short-lived. A few days later, in a tavern at Emer village, a wild story is being told that catches everyone's attention. Though the story is legendary, a man cornered by goblins is suddenly saved by a devastating bolt of lightning from the sky. The savior? An elf. It turns out the elves aren't just visiting. They've officially moved into the frontier to protect the humans. Clay is ready to head back, but the elf woman has other plans. She's fallen in love with the peace of Emer village, a sanctuary far from the prying eyes of the royal capital where they can finally just exist. But a new complication arises. A mock battle is being held for Yuki in the capital. While the organizers are secretly praying for Yuki's public humiliation, Clay finds himself actually wanting to see his friend in action. A sudden decision changes everything. Clay announces he's heading to the royal capital to support a friend, and the blonde woman is more than ready to tag along. But the news hits Rita like a bolt of lightning. She's never really seen the capital, and the longing in her eyes is unmistakable. She wants in on this adventure too. With a bit of persuasion, the group agrees to let Rita join. To make sure she doesn't worry about the cost, Clay offers a genius solution. He'll craft magic tools to sell in the city to fund the trip. The planning gets even more chaotic as the blonde woman insists on paying for the rooms. She pulls Rita into a tight hug, promising a girl's trip that leaves the poor girl completely flustered. Just as things settle, Rita remembers one major problem: Kiza. If he finds out they're leaving without him, it'll be a disaster. But before they can even finish the thought, Kiza crashes in with a roar. "I'm coming too!" It's total mayhem as Kiza clings to Clay like a lifeline, begging not to be left behind. After a flurry of tears and hugs, he gets the green light from his father to join the crew. However, not everyone can go. Alzim explains that he must stay behind to protect the village, as monsters have been stirring in the forest following the Black Dragon's rampage. Before they depart, the man brings up one last detail. What about Charlotte? He warns Clay that the elf girl might be too attached to Hengoku to leave, suggesting he ask her himself. Expects a rejection. But Charlotte's answer is a surprising beaming, "Of course!" Her immediate agreement leaves Clay completely stunned. And as if the group wasn't big enough, the elf elder decides he has some business in the capital and wants to join in. Clay looks at his now 6-person party and realizes this simple trip is turning into a full-blown expedition. A week has passed, and the stage is set for a grand journey. With a powerhouse squad by his side, Clay leads the charge with a bold declaration. It's time to head to the royal capital. Enter the royal capital, where power and friendship intertwine. A mysterious blonde man watches from his throne, hinting at the royal ties that will soon collide with Clay's quiet life. The sheer scale of the capital city, Flata, is enough to leave anyone breathless. The group is wide-eyed, completely overwhelmed by the towering buildings and the electric energy of the bustling crowds. But the city's excitement comes with a price. Every single hotel is packed, thanks to the mock battle fever. While the saint suggests the church's dorms, Clay has a different, more secretive plan in mind. Welcome to Hotel Octavia, a monument of absolute luxury. The manager bows deeply, revealing that 3 lavish suites have already been prepared for Lord Rs and his companions. The group is stunned, but the reason for the VIP treatment is simple. Prince Yuke has personally ensured the best hospitality, and he's footing the entire bill. Clay can't help but wonder just how much influence the prince has over this place. One look at the rooms and the group is in paradise. From the shimmering decor to beds so soft they feel like clouds, they're quickly realizing that luxury is an understatement. After a day of rest, the night brings a sudden twist. Flora whispers a secret invitation. Someone named Teratus wants to meet Clay. Under the cover of darkness, he slips away into the city streets. His destination, a mysterious establishment known as the Waning Moon. But as he knocks, the door swings open on its own, leaving Clay momentarily frozen in surprise. A high-tech magic door, designed for the elite and the secretive. Inside, a smirking bartender greets the newcomer, offering a deal that makes the night feel even more exclusive. The entire place is his for the taking. Clay is just trying to enjoy a quiet drink. But his peace is shattered when a familiar face walks through the door. It's Teratus. The two catch up, though Teratus is already complaining about how tedious his academy lessons have become. The conversation turns serious when the shop owner drops a bombshell. He knows exactly who Clay is, and that he's the one who actually defeated the Demon King. The owner doesn't care about the baggage handler title. He's so impressed he insists on footing the bill. But as the drinks flow, Teratus cuts to the chase. Why were they called here? Teratus reveals a sinister plot surrounding the upcoming mock battle, sliding some leaked documents across the table for Clay to see. Clay scans the papers and realizes they're pre-written press articles. One for a victory, and another designed to destroy Yuke's reputation if he loses. The plan is cold and calculated. Paint Yuke as a battle-crazed monster to turn the public against him and strip away his support as a hero. Teratus warns that overwhelming power only breeds fear, reminding Clay that even when he saved people on his journey, they looked at him with terror, just as they did the Demon King. Just as Clay wonders how to stop this, a woman bursts in, breathless and apologizing for her tardiness after a daring escape from the church. She reveals that a royal martial arts tournament will serve as the prelude to the mock battle. Clay thinks it sounds like fun, but the look on Teratus's face says otherwise. This is where the real trouble begins. Out of nowhere, the prince drops a bombshell of a request. He wants Clay to enter the fighting tournament and win the whole thing. Clay's brain practically shuts down in pure shock. The plan is calculated. If Clay dominates the tournament, it proves he's stronger than the prince, setting the stage for a massive reveal later. To keep his identity a secret, Clay is told to hide behind a mask and a fake name. But Clay can't help but wonder, why does he always have to be the shield? The prince's plea is simple. He wants Clay to clear every obstacle in his path to the throne. Looking at the prince's determination, Clay decides that if he can be the strength that protects that path, he's in. With the deal struck, it's time for the logistics. A companion offers to lead them to a shop for some unremarkable gear so he doesn't stand out, while the prince prepares to handle things from the management side. As for the identity, he'll be known simply as Gray. A quick toast with some wine to seal the deal, and then, bam! The next day arrives. The group hits the streets of the royal capital, a place that reminds Clay of how far he's come since the days he had no money and relied on the prince for his first set of gear. The city is electric, packed with people desperate to catch a glimpse of the hero. Clay scans the crowd, noting the insane scale of the tournament. Hundreds of elite warriors and mages from across the globe, including mysterious fighters from remote islands and independent mages from the Curio Kingdom, have all converged here. Amidst the chaos, Clay focuses on Rita. He knows she has talent as a magic toolmaker, but talent isn't enough. She needs to experience the real-world quality of professional gear to truly grow, and that's exactly why they've come here. They stop in front of a prestigious establishment, the destination for anyone seeking the finest tools in the land. Rita is absolutely breathless, staring up at the royal capital's most profitable magic tool shop. While she's in awe, Clay has a different goal. He wants a true professional to appraise Rita's skills and see exactly where she stands. From tinkering with small robotic constructs to learning the ropes of the trade, the bond between teacher and student grows. Who wouldn't want a mentor like Clay? Flora steps into the shop, but the silence inside is deafening. She calls out tentatively, only to be told to wait a moment by a voice from the back. Enter Kusuno, a witch who clearly wanted her peace and quiet. Her annoyance vanishes the moment she spots a familiar face. Flora, accompanied by a long-haired woman. Flora and her companion, Rita, have a request. They want Kusuno to appraise some homemade magic tools. Though skeptical, Kusuno's professional pride kicks in, and she agrees to provide a proper evaluation. Flora nervously presents her work. Kusuno's eyes lock onto something else entirely. She freezes, spotting a bag that should never be carried so casually in public. A high-grade storage bag, a treasure worth more than 100 gold coins. Kusuno is floored that Flora is using such a masterpiece without even realizing its staggering value. Then the creator is revealed, a plain-looking young man named Clay. Kusuno is baffled by his unremarkable magic power, but once she realizes he's Flora's acquaintance, the pieces of the puzzle fall into place. With the introductions over, Kusuno gets down to business. She demands to see every single tool Flora has brought, starting her inspection with a focused, critical gaze. A heavy sigh escapes Kusuno as she examines the items. For a moment it seems like a failure, but then the truth hits her. The quality is actually far too high. Kusuno is mesmerized, explaining how the precise magic control and clever use of reflectors make these tools superior to anything standard. This isn't just craft. It's a masterpiece that could sell for several times the normal price. A final verdict is in. While most makers focus only on the magic, Clay's tools are designed with the user in mind. That, Kusuno decides, is what makes them truly good magic tools. Rita is practically glowing with embarrassment as Clay steps in to deflect the praise. He insists he only taught her the basics, claiming that everything else was the result of Rita's own ingenuity and hard work. To him, it's simple. Rita just has an incredible natural talent. While modest, Rita credits Clay for teaching her to always consider the person using the tool. Clay just shrugs it off, admitting he's merely passing along the lessons he learned from his own master. The woman in the witch's hat watches them, her expression shifting as she realizes exactly who she's dealing with. Clay makes his move, asking the woman to purchase Rita's magic tools. The response is immediate and shocked. The quality is so high that no magic tool shop in existence would ever turn them away. Then comes the real kicker. She slams down bags of gold, offering a staggering amount for the lot. Maida's brain practically shuts down as she stares at the mountain of gold coins. The woman explains that for a first-class magic toolmaker, this kind of money is only the beginning. She's already hooked, eager to do business with magic tool master Rita again in the future. Fueled by her new success, Rita is absolutely fired up. But the shopping trip isn't over yet. The group arrives at their next destination, Flora's blacksmith shop. The silence is shattered as the woman bellows for Gelt to get out here. A muscular, goggled blacksmith emerges from the forge, looking thoroughly annoyed by the sudden intrusion. He doesn't look like the type to appreciate interruptions. The woman introduces the group, explaining they've come to buy weapons for both Clay and Rita. Clay offers a polite introduction, but Gelt doesn't buy the modesty. He narrows his eyes, sensing a strength in Clay that doesn't match his quiet demeanor. Gelt cuts straight to the point. Why does someone with Clay's obvious power even need weapons? That's when Clay drops a bombshell. He's entering a martial arts tournament tomorrow. To keep a low profile, He plans to compete under the alias Gray and wants a mask to hide his identity. Gelt immediately shoots down the idea, arguing that an unknown warrior wearing a mask actually draws more attention. Clay is left completely bewildered by the logic, but Gelt insists that if he wants to be inconspicuous, a mask is the worst choice possible. Eventually, the blacksmith's stubbornness wins out. Rita is absolutely floored. Since when was he entering a tournament? Clay plays it off as a sudden whim, admitting he's using a fake name because losing under his real identity would be too embarrassing. Rita can only sigh, realizing that Clay's perspective on the world is on a completely different level. A custom mask by tomorrow? Impossible. But the blacksmith has a solution, picking one from the stock that'll hide those scars. As they browse the collection, the options range from unicorn-themed to downright creepy bone masks, until one finally catches the eye. The moment the mask clicks into place, the group is floored. It's a perfect fit. But Clay isn't just looking for style. He requests a special integration enchantment to ensure the mask stays put, no matter how intense the fight gets. Now for the steal. Clay needs a weapon that can actually keep up with his true power, and he doesn't care about the price. He puts his trust in Gelt's legendary craftsmanship to forge something that matches his real skill. Gelt is hooked. With a confident smirk, he promises to forge a weapon truly fitting for the man, leaving his apprentice in absolute awe. First, the mask gets a final tune-up before the big tournament begins. As the preparations wrap up, a hidden tension lingers. Clay wonders how his former party will fare against his gear, while Gelt seems to have noticed something about the mysterious warrior. The next day arrives, and the atmosphere is electric. The massive coliseum looms over the city, packed with people all waiting for the start of the martial arts tournament. Step by step, Clay emerges, now fully transformed. With the mask on and a sharp new outfit, he looks ready for war, perhaps a bit too ready. He doesn't just look like a competitor, he looks like a boss fight. The aura is so overwhelming that he looks less like a hero and more like the ultimate enemy. Meanwhile, the nobility arrives. A blonde woman is greeted by a knight and escorted toward a private section, her presence commanding respect from everyone around. Settled into the most expensive seats in the house, the group marvels at the view. But a sudden mention of Charlotte, being the same as Lord Clay, leaves the blonde woman completely bewildered. A look of pure shock crosses a blonde woman's face. Could it be? An elf wonders aloud if Charlotte is actually entering the fray, while the girl in the hood remains completely unfazed. The atmosphere is electric as the royal capital arena roars with anticipation. The Demon King Subjugation Memorial Tournament is officially underway, and the contestants are making their grand entrance. Clay finds the tournament's name a bit too flashy for his taste, but when a cocky fighter asks how far he intends to go, Clay's answer is short and lethal. He's taking the championship. A brief moment of warriors' camaraderie is cut short by a royal command. The crowd falls silent and stands as His Majesty the King makes his imposing entrance. The king and queen appear to be the picture of marital bliss, but Clay isn't fooled. One look at them brings back a report that suggests the royal family is far from perfect. From the royal balcony, the siblings watch the crowd. While one is merely curious, Prince Yuki zeroes in on the masked man, noting his suspiciously displeased expression. While one prince yawns in utter boredom, blaming his brother Alton for the mood, Clay's heart skips a beat. He recognizes the man before him, Duke Conrad. King Zeld Fargus Altonia commands the crowd to raise their heads. In a rare moment of humility, he declares that the true stars of the day are the warriors entering the arena. Then comes the moment everyone was waiting for. The king introduces the hero who defeated the Demon King, his own son, Duke Fargus Altonia. The crowd erupts into a deafening frenzy. The king's voice booms over the stadium, warning that even in an era of peace, the world still needs warriors to fight the darkness. With one final, powerful shout, the tournament is officially open. The crowd is absolutely losing it. They're swooning over the hero, praising his beauty, strength, and royal blood. The prince himself basks in the glory, waving with a smug grin while his companion looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. For the prince, the crushing weight of everyone's expectations isn't a burden, it's a privilege. He plays the part of the perfect savior to perfection, all while keeping a calculating glint in his eye. But amidst the fanfare, one man stands apart. Clay watches the spectacle from below, the distance between the fake hero and the true one feeling wider than ever. Suddenly, the prince's composed mask slips into pure shock. Why? Because right in front of him is a masked figure with a smirk that says he knows exactly what's going on. What are you doing? The prince stammers, completely thrown off. He tries to laugh it off to save face, but the crowd's roar only masks the sudden tension between them. Not everyone is impressed by the prince's charm. One observer scoffs at the gap in their stature, acknowledging the prince as a mere idol, while he views himself as the true blade. The atmosphere shifts as the announcement hits. The first match of the preliminaries is about to begin. While the prince reflects on the terrifying nature of true enemies, Clay is suddenly swarmed by friendly faces. But wait, where's Charlotte? Clay's confusion turns to absolute shock when he spots her standing among the competitors. There's no way she's actually entering the tournament. It's not just her. A whole group of hooded elves from the Holy Tree Kingdom have appeared. It turns out they crossed paths while shopping, but their presence here is far from accidental. The truth comes out. They're here to reveal Charlotte's true identity. She isn't just some elder's granddaughter. She's a special existence from the border prison, a name that commands respect even in the darkest places. Clay offers his help to the smiling elf woman, but the moment of peace is shattered. The call echoes through the arena, and it's finally time for the games to begin. As Clay looks out over the massive courtyard, he's stunned by the sheer scale of the event. The rules are brutal. 100 warriors are about to clash in a single chaotic melee. The math is simple but cruel. 800 warriors divided into 8 blocks, with only one survivor from each moving forward. The only thing standing between them and defeat is a magic badge that absorbs damage until it finally snaps. While the crowd marvels at the high-performance gear, Clay can only think about how terrifying the man who crafted them must be. Then, the signal drops. The first match begins with an explosion of steel. The arena instantly turns into a war zone of screams and clashing blades. Amidst the carnage, a hooded figure tears through the competition with frightening efficiency. Watching from the stands, the elf woman is surprised by the hooded fighter's raw physical power. She realizes with a knowing look that this girl is far from being just an elf. With a gaze of absolute determination, the hooded girl summons her power. She isn't just fighting for a title, she's fighting for the heavy burden she carries on her shoulders. A powerful horned elf and a rugged warrior stand poised as the story enters its 16th chapter. The scene shifts to a memory of the deep forest, where the girl once believed she would never leave, but a desperate need to gain the trust of others pushed her toward the world outside. Haunted by the memory of her grandfather's ultimate sacrifice against a black dragon, her resolve hardens. She vows to grow strong enough to protect everyone, turning her grief into a mission to save all elves and the people who saved them. A mysterious hooded woman steps forward, her presence commanding the arena as she declares her intent to prove her power. The crowd is skeptical, whispering in disbelief that such a beauty could actually fight, while a confident warrior charges in, calling her Miss with a smirk. In a flash, the smirk vanishes. With a single, effortless motion, she deflects the attack and strikes back, sending the warrior reeling in total shock. Even as he desperately launches a fireball, she remains completely unfazed. The warrior screams as he unleashes a flame arrow, but the hooded woman simply raises a hand. With a calm gaze, she shuts down the attack instantly, leaving her opponent frozen in sheer disbelief. She doesn't stop there, knocking back another attacker with overwhelming force. The crowd's doubt turns into awe as they realize just how strong she is, even as the remaining fighters attempt to surround her. 4 hooded figures close in, trapping her in the center of the ring. She notes that they are all elves, acknowledging that their strength is exactly what one would expect from the clan leader's elite. Analyzing their formation, she realizes they are using physical enhancement magic to test her raw strength rather than her skill. With a cold, calculating look, she decides it's time to switch tactics, bringing out her spirit magic. Suddenly, the air explodes. She unleashes the Wind King's protection, creating a massive, swirling vortex of wind that blasts the surrounding elves away like autumn leaves. The elves are sent flying, terrified by the sheer magnitude of the power hitting them. Before they can even process the attack, she blurs through the chaos, striking them down with precision. One final decisive blow ends the struggle. As the defeated elf collapses to the ground, he can only offer a faint, respectful admission. She was simply too good. The arena erupts in cheers as the announcer screams the result. The first preliminary match is over. Standing victorious and serene amidst the chaos, the winner is revealed. Charlotte. The arena is buzzing as the winners are announced. Heavy Knight Braga and Mage Orel have claimed their victories, but the atmosphere is just warming up. Meanwhile, a mysterious elf woman tells the masked Clay that she's proud of him. Claiming to be a grandfather? Now it's finally Clay's turn to step into the spotlight. As the announcer screams that the 4th preliminary match is beginning, Clay isn't just rushing in. He's already calculated his move, basing his strategy on Charlotte's previous fight. His plan? Simple. Stay completely invisible. In a chaotic free-for-all, Clay decides the most efficient path to victory is to pretend to struggle and wait for the other fighters to thin themselves out. But just as he settles into his pathetic act, a massive blast rocks the arena. "Let's get serious," a blonde warrior screams, launching a fierce assault. Clay is caught off guard, accidentally hitting back with too much force. As the defeated are ushered out of the arena, Clay curses his own instincts. He's far too strong for his own low-profile plan. Chaos escalates as a mage unleashes a devastating ice spear to wipe out the competition. Clay freezes for a second, realizing he needs to let others take the hit to stay hidden. But as the ice shards fly, his body reacts on its own, slicing through the magic with a single, blinding strike. The crowd is stunned. Who deflects high-level magic with a simple sword? Clay is just as annoyed, realizing his body's reflexive need to protect others is ruining his cover. But the attention is already on him. The other fighters are now itching to be the one to take down the masked mystery. With his secret identity slipping, Clay decides to stop playing around. It can't be helped, he smirks. I'll just end this quickly. He steps forward, the air turning heavy as he tells his opponents to simply get out of the way. Finally, only one opponent remains. Clay looks at the young fighter and sees a familiar spark, the same determination he remembers from Kiza. But the youth doesn't want to lecture. He charges forward with a desperate, guttural scream, over in a heartbeat. With one effortless motion, Clay sends the challenger flying across the arena. The announcer's voice booms through the stadium. The winner of the fourth preliminary is Gray. The crowd goes wild for the mysterious warrior, who won without even breaking a sweat. As the tournament progresses and the final 7 are chosen, the tension reaches a breaking point. And then, it happens. The 8th and final preliminary match begins with a literal bang. Chaos erupts in the arena as a sudden explosion leaves the crowd stunned. A contestant's self-detonation magic has wiped out nearly every badge, forcing the officials to halt the match and postpone the winner's announcement. For some, it's a terrifying disaster, but for others, it's a massive relief that they weren't the ones in the ring. While Flora is already planning a wild victory party, Clay can't help but notice how much she's loving the chaos. But the celebration is put on hold when they're summoned before a high-ranking official. The atmosphere shifts instantly as they face a man who has a very specific reason for calling the S-rank adventurers. Meet the heavy hitters, Raldo the Destroyer, Bernard of the Shadows, and Simon the Sturdy. These are the S-rank elites, and they don't look like the type to be intimidated by anything. Raldo is practically vibrating with excitement, seeing this as the perfect chance to crush the hero Yuke and show the world who the real powerhouses are. Bernard is less about the glory and more about the gold. As long as the pay is right, he'll fight anyone. But as they brag, a lingering doubt remains in the air. Bernard expresses a slight regret for missing out on the tournament, perhaps underestimating the situation. That's when the official drops a bombshell. Why wait for the rules when he can just enter the competition right now? The stage is set for a clash of titans. Raldo looks at the hero Yuke and can't help but scoff. How could someone with such a frail frame possibly stand against them? The rules are being rewritten on the fly. Since the 8th match is a mess, the official decides to squeeze the S-rankers in to give the crowd a real show. It's not about fairness anymore. It's about the spectacle. Bernard doesn't need much convincing to join the fray. But as they prepare to leave, Duke Conrad reveals he has a special gift for them. Something that changes the stakes of the fight. A mysterious pouch changes hands, and the Duke reveals a dark secret. During a covert operation into the royal castle's depths, he managed to steal a forbidden relic directly from the remains of the Demon King. The tension snaps as the true intent is revealed. This isn't a friendly competition anymore. With the Demon King's relic in hand, Raldo is no longer looking for a fair fight. He's looking for a slaughter. Wait, does he actually intend to kill Yuke? Yuki is spiraling in shock, but the spiky-haired man just shrugs it off. To him, Yuke's life was already on the line the moment he joined the quest to slay the Demon King. Yuke isn't backing down, claiming he's the one who planned this whole mock battle and will hold him responsible. But the response is ice cold. If Yuke were truly the hero who defeated the Demon King, no scheme in the world could take his life. A terrifying image flashes back. The last survivor of the Demon King's 4 heavenly kings. The logic is simple. If you can't even beat a demon like Simon, you have no business fighting the Demon King. Cut to the main event. The atmosphere is electric as the Demon King Defeat Commemoration Martial Arts Tournament finally kicks off. Every eye turns to the sky as the official tournament bracket is unveiled. Tension rises as the fighters see their opponents. Charlotte is paired with Aurel, while Gray eyes his own match. Meanwhile, a masked warrior spots a familiar face, Helga, the formidable leader of the independent mage corps. A memory surfaces of a clash with the Curio Principality's mages during the Great Quest. They won back then, but the masked man knows Helga isn't the same person she was years ago. She's only grown stronger. Enter Ira, a mysterious hooded elf introduced by Charlotte. He's been watching the matches, and he's already pinpointed exactly how strong his future opponents are. Ira is eager to feel that power for himself, though the masked man suspects he's still underestimating Charlotte. As they prepare, a massive barrier envelops the stage, meaning the fighters can finally unleash their full power without killing the crowd. Gray is floored by the barrier's perfection. Even a black dragon's breath wouldn't leave a scratch. He knows exactly who's behind it. Ryuseki, a genius who can create this masterpiece without even breaking a sweat. Wait is over. The announcer screams as the first match begins. In one corner, the powerhouse Braga Sykes of the Heavy Knight Order. In the other, the enigmatic Ira. The tension peaks as the first match of the main tournament begins. While observers bet on the Heavy Knight's raw power, the hooded fighter opens with a move that defies all expectations, summoning mysterious energy spheres that leave his opponent completely blindsided. Boom. In a flash of blinding light, the hooded warrior unleashes a devastating blast. The Heavy Knight, once thought to be the favorite, is caught right in the center of the chaos. Spectators are skeptical, doubting that mere magic can bring down a titan like Braga, and they might be right, because the Heavy Knight crashes through the smoke, charging forward with unstoppable momentum. One wrong move and it's over, but the hooded fighter slips past the massive blade with effortless grace. Before the knight can even blink, a thin rapier is already drawn, a weapon appearing out of nowhere to turn the tide of the battle. Precision over power. With a single lightning-fast thrust, the rapier finds the gap in the armor. Just like that, the giant falls and the sword clatters to the floor, signaling a shocking end to the fight. The crowd is stunned as the announcer screams the result. The winner is Ira. The observers are left reeling, realizing this mage possesses a sword skill that rivals the best, leaving them completely speechless. The tournament doesn't slow down, moving straight into the second match, Charlotte versus Aurel. But the result is just as swift. Charlotte claims victory, dominating the arena with her own overwhelming presence. After a triumphant wave from Charlotte, the third match kicks off between Gray and Helga. Once again, the battle ends in a landslide, with Gray emerging as the victor amidst a field of discarded weapons. Now comes the awkward part. The dark-haired man starts questioning Ira's sudden surge in power, making him wonder if his secret identity is finally slipping. Despite the suspicion, his teammates are all smiles, cheering him on as he brushes off his injuries with some quick-fix recovery medicine. Meanwhile, the defeated knights are left in a state of total confusion, unable to wrap their heads around who these mysterious fighters even are. But the real shocker? The matches are moving so fast that they've already hit the semi-finals. The shock is real. The match ended in just 10 minutes. A spiky-haired man is reeling, wondering how the supposed self-detonation expert could have lost so quickly. Then the reason is revealed. A mysterious woman in a black cloak stands before them, the silent storm that just swept the arena. Suspicion peaks as the man realizes this woman wasn't in the preliminaries. He learns she's an S-rank adventurer named Bernard, recommended by Duke Conrad himself. Just as the weight of that name sinks in, the announcer's voice booms. The fourth match is about to begin. The arena is set, and a knight stands ready for battle. But the crowd is left bewildered, unable to even spot where the opponent is. Then, in a sudden violent blur, the knight is slammed into the dirt. Total annihilation in a heartbeat. A woman in black looks down at her fallen foe with a playful, almost bored smile. To her, the identity of the opponent didn't even matter. Victory was a foregone conclusion. Now the spiky-haired man realizes the terrifying truth. She is his next target. He tries to read her, but she's a complete enigma. Friendly on the surface, yet deeply suspicious. Between her unknown combat style and her ties to Duke Conrad, he knows he's walking into a trap. As they move through the halls, the tension is thick. He's on high alert. The conversation turns to the Holy Tree Kingdom and its guardian warrior, Charlotte. Ipra, the cloaked man, observes that she took her time dealing with a mage-level opponent, leading him to wonder if she was even fighting seriously. Charlotte responds with a chillingly confident smile. She claims that if she actually got serious, she'd blow the entire combat stage to pieces. Ira tries to play the voice of reason, warning her about the spectators, but Charlotte just laughs it off. She knows exactly how much power the barrier can take. The mood shifts instantly as Charlotte turns the tables, mocking Ira's hypocrisy. She questions why someone trying to prove their own power would rely on a human-made barrier. Then comes the ultimate insult. She dismisses him as a prideless, forest-dwelling elf. Charlotte sees right through his arrogance, viewing his pride as nothing more than overconfidence. If he wants a real fight, she's more than happy to oblige, even if the collateral damage is catastrophic. She's confident, she's dangerous, and she's ready to break him. The stage is set for the fifth match of the main tournament. Charlotte versus Ira. The signal sounds and the battle begins. One thing is already clear. Charlotte is a master at provoking her enemies. A hooded figure sits in quiet contemplation amidst the ruins, marking the start of a new chapter in the frontier. In a grand ceremony, a young man kneels before the regal Farouge, while the crowd whispers in disbelief that someone so young could be chosen as a guardian warrior for the elite 5 ducal houses. "Raise your head," she commands, forcing him to meet her gaze. Farouge reveals her true motive. She doesn't care for bloodlines or past achievements, but for the raw potential she sees in him. She declares that he is the key to the future of Elfwira, officially claiming him as her servant. Then comes the request that catches him completely off guard. With a gentle smile, she asks him to strive for the future of the elves, right by her side. Bound by a solemn oath, the young man pledges his life to Lady Farouge, the most powerful and respected head of the Noct family. But the prestige of her position is about to clash with a harsh reality. The mood flips instantly. Clay watches in absolute shock as the once proud Farouge is reduced to kneeling in desperation before others. What's happening, he wonders, unable to process why his master has fallen so low. Auge pleads with Lord Melville and Lady Charlotte for their strength, revealing that the Holy Tree Kingdom is in a dire state. But the response is cold. The situation is simply too grave for them to help. With the entire elf race facing an uncertain doom, the weight of the crisis settles in. Seeing Farouge's pain, Ira's resolve hardens. He's prepared to do whatever it takes to save her kingdom. But beneath the surface, Ira's instincts screamed that something is wrong. He questions if these desperate people can truly be trusted, sensing a darker hunger lurking within the depths of the forest. If the leader of the elves must bow, then the world is broken, and Ira is the only one who can fix it. Stepping forward as the guardian warrior, Ira unsheathes his blade to clear the path of lower-rank spirits. A sudden, blinding strike. The hooded warrior is impressed that his opponent could construct a barrier in a mere heartbeat. But he's not done yet. The pressure is relentless. As the barrier begins to crack, Charlotte admits that Ira's power is overwhelming. She realizes her current defense is a ticking time bomb, and it's about to explode. With a roar of release, he pours every ounce of his weight into a final crushing blow. The barrier shatters, but as the dust settles, a look of pure confusion crosses his face. Wait, what just happened? In a flash, the tables turn. A single, precise strike carves through the air, leaving Ira gasping in pain. Charlotte isn't just defending, she's using spirit arts to turn his own momentum against him with terrifying speed. From the stands, the crowd is losing it. The speed of the exchange is almost impossible to follow, but the experts notice something strange. This isn't just basic magic. It's something far more ancient and rare. The revelation hits like a ton of bricks. Spirit arts are the exclusive domain of the elves. If that fighter is using them, then the identity of the mysterious warrior is suddenly very clear. The tide seems to be shifting again, as Charlotte is forced onto the defensive. Her friends watch in horror, fearing she'll lose, while she herself begins to feel the weight of the struggle. But power comes at a price. While spirit arts are devastating, they drain the user's stamina at an alarming rate. Ira is gasping for air, his body reaching its absolute limit. Over, she whispers, sensing his exhaustion. He tries to scoff, but the truth is written all over his face. Yet Charlotte admits she's barely holding on too. She simply can't afford to fail her master. Enough talk. With a gaze of pure steel, she issues a final thunderous challenge. If he doubts her, he can try and take her down. This isn't just a fight anymore. It's a battle for the pride of the High Elves. While the mock battle rages on, a haunting memory surfaces. A woman recalls a time of absolute powerlessness, staring back at a version of herself that couldn't protect her home or the people she loved. Trapped in a cycle of despair and helplessness, she reveals the truth. That broken girl was her. Now with a gentle but chilling smile, she gives a simple command to the hooded man. Come. The ground erupts in a colossal pillar of fire as the legendary salamander is unleashed. Clay can only stare in shock as the heat incinerates everything around him. From the heart of the inferno she emerges. Clad in white armor and a dark cloak, the woman stands as the absolute master of the flames, her presence radiating overwhelming power. Clay's mind reels. This isn't just any spirit art. It's a high-ranking flame spirit. He realizes he's facing a direct descendant of the fallen elf royal family, a legendary high elf. While the prince barely notices the rising temperature, the masked man feels the oppressive heat of the barrier. Clay looks into her eyes and realizes exactly who this woman is. Charlotte. Charlotte opens up about her fear of being hated and the fragility of the value others place on her. But as she tells him to just relax, Clay grips his sword, recognizing that facing a superior foe is the only way to grow. A massive vortex of energy swirls as Charlotte reflects on how a mere human once made her feel truly helpless. Clay doesn't hold back, vowing to defeat her with everything he's got, while she simply whispers, "Please don't die." All-out war. Clay summons Patami and Nebula in rapid succession, colliding his powers into a blinding explosion that rocks the entire arena. As the smoke clears, the spectators are left speechless. Battered, bruised, and gasping for air, Clay stands his ground with a wild, triumphant grin on his face. He realizes that pushing any further would mean unleashing his true monstrous power and blowing his cover entirely. Standing before him, Charlotte remains a vision of ethereal grace, her calm gaze and effortless poise, making her presence feel absolutely overwhelming. Recognizing her resolve, Clay makes a split-second decision. He intentionally lowers his guard just enough for Charlotte to land a sudden, crushing blow, sending him sprawling to the arena floor. With a satisfied smirk hidden beneath his mask, Clay formally admits defeat. The crowd roars as the announcer's voice booms across the stadium. The match is over, and the undisputed winner is Lady Charlotte.